Welcome back to WION World is One. You're watching Speed News with me, Vidur Kathuria. Let's get started. US Ambassador to the United Nations Mike Waltz told the UN Security Council the US stands by the brave people of Iran, and President Donald Trump has made it clear all options are on the table to stop the slaughter. Earlier, Trump said he had been told that the killings were easing and that he believed there was no current plan for large-scale executions. Thousands of people have been reported dead in a crackdown on the protests against clerical rule. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has urged maximum restraint at this sensitive moment. The White House has uploaded a picture of US President Donald Trump's meeting with Venezuela's opposition leader Maria Corina Machado in the Oval Office. During the meeting, she is seen presenting him with her Nobel Peace Prize. Trump is seen posing with the long-coveted prize while being all smiles. Trump had set his eyes on the prize for a while now, but the Nobel committee that awards it has been clear that it cannot be shared or transferred. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney and Chinese President Xi Jinping began talks in Beijing. This marks the first meeting between the two leaders in 8 years. The Chinese president said there has been a turnaround of ties between China and Canada since the annual Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in South Korea late last year. Chinese Premier Li Qiang had called it a new starting point for the two countries. US President Donald Trump threatens to invoke Insurrection Act to deploy military forces in Minnesota days after protests broke out over a surge in ICE agents. Trump's threats follow a night of protests and vandalism in the Minnesota city after an agent shot a man in the leg. The Department of Homeland Security had said an officer opened fire after he was attacked by 3 Venezuelan nationals with a shovel and a broom handle. US security forces fired tear gas at protesters who gathered near the Whipple Federal Building over a surge in immigration agents on the streets of Minneapolis. Confrontations between residents and federal officers have become increasingly tense after an immigration and customs enforcement agent fatally shot a US citizen, Renee Good, in a car 8 days ago. In Minneapolis, protests have spread to other cities since then. US forces in the Caribbean have seized another sanctioned oil tanker, which the Trump administration says is linked to Venezuela. The US military said the vessel, Veronica, was boarded in a pre-dawn operation without incident as it was defying President Donald Trump's quarantine of sanctioned vessels. Since the US military strikes on Venezuela and seizure of its President Nicolas Maduro this month, Trump has said he plans to tap into the country's huge oil reserves. According to monitoring service Veronica, a crude oil tanker sailing under a Guyanese flag departed empty from Venezuelan waters in early January. US President Donald Trump continues to press his claim to Greenland, with his aims to wrest control of the mineral-rich Arctic island growing stronger by the day. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the talks between US officials and representatives from Denmark and Greenland were largely productive. However, she added that European military deployments to the semi-autonomous Danish territory would not deter Trump from pursuing its control. However, Denmark has ruled out any US acquisition of Greenland. The Israeli military carried out airstrikes against Hezbollah targets shortly after issuing evacuation orders for the village of Somor in southern Lebanon. The Israeli military, in a statement, confirmed that it carried out airstrikes on Hezbollah terror targets in several areas in Lebanon. The military said the airstrikes were in response to Hezbollah's repeated violations of the ceasefire understanding. The order comes a week after the Lebanese military said it had completed disarming Hezbollah south of the Litani River as part of the first phase of a nationwide plan. US President Donald Trump has announced the formation of the Board of Peace for Gaza, describing it as a key component of Phase 2 of a US-backed plan to end the war in the Palestinian territory. The announcement comes as the US-backed Gaza ceasefire framework moves into its second phase. Meanwhile, a Palestinian technocratic committee unveiled this week is expected to oversee day-to-day governance in post-war Gaza. The US Army unveiled the prototype of the next generation of armored war tanks at the Detroit Auto Show. The M1E3 Abrams contains new high-tech components, counter-drone protection and sharper off-road handling to better adapt to changing military demands. The current version on the Abrams tank was designed in the 1970s and needed upgrades to keep pace with today's military needs. The M1E3 is equipped with a hybrid electric engine and AI-assisted capabilities to help identify battlefield threats. Japan and the US have agreed to boost joint production of defense equipment, including missiles, and expand their military presence in waters southwest of mainland Japan. The agreement comes after Japanese Defense Minister Shinjiro Koizumi met US Secretary of War Pete Hegseth in Washington, where they also pledged to further cooperate on supply chains, including critical minerals. Japan is embroiled in a heated diplomatic spat with China, triggered by Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi's suggestion in November that Japan could intervene militarily if China attacks Taiwan. Social media companies have collectively deactivated nearly 5 million accounts belonging to Australian teenagers just a month after a world-first ban on under-16s took effect. The country's internet regulator said this is a sign the measure has had a swift and sweeping impact. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said platforms had so far removed about 4.7 million accounts held by under-16s to comply with the law that went live on December 10th. The implementation of the ban is being closely watched by regulators worldwide. France, Malaysia, and Indonesia have all said they will introduce similar laws, while some European nations and US states are also discussing following Australia. The figures represent the first government data on compliance and suggest platforms are taking significant steps to adhere to a law that could see them fined up to $33 million for non-compliance, but does not hold children or their parents liable. Counting of votes for the BMC polls will begin at 10 a.m. IST across 23 designated counting centers in Mumbai. The elections were held along with 28 local bodies of Maharashtra on 15th January. The Bharatiya Janata Party-led Mahayuti is locked in a key battle with the united Thackeray cousins Raj and Uddhav for control of the cash-rich BMC, which has an annual budget of more than 74,000 crore rupees. The two factions of NCP, Congress, Samajwadi Party, among others, are also in the fray. The counting process will be conducted in strict compliance with the guidelines of the Election Commission of India and the Model Code of Conduct, with elaborate arrangement in place to ensure security, traffic management, and maintenance of law and order. All exit polls predicted a clear sweep for the BJP-Shiv Sena alliance and a defeat of the Shiv Sena UBT MNS. A 6.2 magnitude earthquake hit off the coast of Oregon in the United States. The quake reportedly struck at a depth of 10 kilometers. The epicenter was located around 295 kilometers west of Bandon. There have been no immediate reports of damage or casualties. Earthquakes have been identified as the main cause for at least 80% of the known tsunamis. An international team of researchers led by the British Antarctic Survey, UK's National Polar Research Institute, has embarked on a study to investigate how collapsing Antarctic glaciers can trigger powerful underwater tsunamis and impact climate. The agency's previous research ship observed this pattern by chance while collecting ocean data during an expedition to Antarctica. Essentially, these tsunami waves are created when icebergs collapse from the front of the glaciers. They may go unnoticed as they travel several meters. The Indian Met Department says India is set to witness a mix of rainfall, snowfall, dense fog and gradually easing cold wave conditions as a fresh western disturbance approaches northwest India. The IMD, in its weather bulletin, said cold wave conditions are likely to continue for the next 2 days over Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh, West Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand and Orissa before weakening thereafter. Cold day conditions are also expected in some pockets of Punjab, Haryana and Chandigarh during this period. Dense to very dense fog is forecast to remain a major concern across northwest India and Bihar. South African authorities closed Kruger National Park to day visitors after several rivers burst their banks following days of heavy rainfall. Tourists already staying at lodges inside the park were allowed to remain. Vast areas of the park were seen submerged under fast-flowing water, with only treetops visible above the floods and hippos swimming between them. Flooding in southeastern Africa has become more frequent and severe as climate change fuels more powerful storms. Asian shares pushed higher on Friday, hitting record levels as optimism around artificial intelligence returned to markets. MSCI's broad Asia-Pacific index outside Japan rose about 0.5%, supported by strong earnings from chip giant TSMC, which helped revive confidence in the AI trade. Tech-led gains on Wall Street carried into Asia, with Nasdaq and S&P 500 futures modestly higher. The US dollar stayed near a 6-week high after solid US data prompted investors to scale back expectations for Federal Reserve rate cuts. Japan's Nikkei slipped, pressured by a rebound in the yen. Meanwhile, European stock futures edged lower after record highs in the previous session. Oil prices fell about 4%, snapping a 5-day rally as comments from US President Donald Trump eased fears of a supply shock from Iran. Brent crude settled near $64 a barrel. Trump said the crackdown on protesters in Iran appeared to be easing, lowering expectations of imminent US military action and reducing the risk premium that had pushed prices to multi-month highs earlier in the week. Additional pressure came from rising US crude and gasoline inventories, signs of higher supply from Venezuela and expectations of more oil reaching global markets. While OPEC sees steady demand growth ahead, traders focused on near-term supply relief, keeping prices under pressure. Gold prices eased as a stronger US dollar and softer geopolitical concerns reduced demand for safe haven assets. Spot gold slipped slightly after hitting a record high a day earlier, while US futures also closed lower. The dollar climbed to a multi-week high after US jobless claims unexpectedly fell, reinforcing expectations the Federal Reserve will keep rates steady in the near term. A firmer dollar made gold more expensive for overseas buyers. Adding pressure, President Donald Trump struck a more cautious tone on Iran, easing fears of escalation. Analysts say the pullback appears corrective, with underlying demand still strong. Other precious metals also dipped, though silver remained near record levels. The US and Taiwan have reached a major trade deal focused on semiconductors, cutting tariffs on many Taiwanese exports and driving large new investments into US technology manufacturing. Under the agreement, Taiwanese chipmakers expanding production in the US, including TSMC, will benefit from lower or zero tariffs, while broader tariffs on Taiwanese goods fall to 15%. In return, Taiwanese companies are set to invest up to $250 billion in US semiconductors, energy, and artificial intelligence, with additional credit support pledged by Taipei. Washington says the deal strengthens supply chain security and aims to shift up to 40% of Taiwan's chip production to the US. India has issued a final warning to Apple in its App Store antitrust case, saying it will proceed unilaterally if the company fails to respond. The confidential order from the Competition Commission of India shows Apple has delayed replies to investigators for more than a year, despite repeated extensions. The CCI warned it will move ahead if Apple does not submit its objections and financial details by next week. Apple could face a fine of up to $38 billion after investigators found it abused its dominant position in the App Store market. According to Reuters, Canada's privacy watchdog has expanded an existing investigation into social media platform X after reports that its Grok AI chatbot was generating non-consensual, sexually explicit deepfake images. Privacy Commissioner Philippe Dufresne announced that the probe will now also include a separate investigation into XAI, the artificial intelligence company behind Grok, to determine if the platform and its AI violated Canada's federal privacy laws in collecting, using, or disclosing personal data without valid consent. According to a Reuters report, a Chinese-linked cyber espionage group known as Mustang Panda has been found targeting US government and policy-related officials using Venezuela-themed phishing emails. The report said that this campaign appeared just days after the US operation to topple Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, with hackers exploiting the geopolitical situation to lure victims. Investigators uncovered a malicious zip file titled US Now Deciding What's Next for Venezuela that contained malware linked to Mustang Panda's past cyber espionage activity. It's not yet clear whether any targets were successfully hacked, but the malware could steal data and allow persistent access if installed. Britain welcomed a U-turn by XAI to stop its Grok AI chatbot making non-consensual, sexually explicit deepfakes, but clarified that its investigation into how Elon Musk's company ever allowed it to happen would continue. UK media regulator Ofcom said the move by XAI to restrict image editing features on Grok was a welcome development and is working round the clock to establish what went wrong, how such content was generated in the first place, and what concrete safeguards have now been put in place. According to the Philippines Secretary of Information and Communications Technology, the country is moving to block Elon Musk's AI chatbot Grok amid concerns that it can generate sexualized images, including content that may pose risks to children. The government's Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center is working with the National Telecommunications Commission to restrict access to the tool. Aguda told a press briefing that Grok's presence in the Philippines is still limited compared to other AI platforms such as ChatGPT and Claude, but added that the issue is expected to be resolved within the week. Amazon's AWS launched a new cloud service located entirely in Europe, addressing user concerns about the data security delivered by mainly US-based providers by offering the continent's own independent alternative. The AWS European Sovereign Cloud's data centers are physically and legally separate from the US-based company's other servers. The world's largest cloud provider said This will allow the cloud to operate even if the European Union were disconnected from the internet or the United States were to prohibit software exports. Barcelona avoided an upset a day after Real Madrid faltered in the Copa del Rey. The holders scored 2 second-half goals to edge past second division leader Racing Santander to reach the quarterfinals. La Liga leaders Barcelona found the going tough against their second-tier opponents in the first half. Ferran Torres broke the deadlock in Santander on a breakaway in the 66th minute. Racing had 2 goals disallowed for offside, one in the 77th and another in the 86th. Lamine Yamal then sealed the win in the 6th and final minute of added time. This is Barcelona's 11th consecutive victory across all competitions. Harleen Deol led UP Warriors to their first victory of the 2026 WPL. The Warriors defeated holders Mumbai Indians by 7 wickets. After being put into bat first, Mumbai posted a total of 161 for 5. Nat Skyver Brunt top scored for the defending champions with 65 of 43 balls. Harleen, who was retired out in the previous match on Wednesday, despite batting well against Delhi, anchored UP's chase. Her unbeaten 64 of 39 balls helped Meg Lanning lead the side to a victory with 11 balls to spare. The countdown for the Australian Open has begun, and Roger Federer said he hopes Carlos Alcaraz can win the first Grand Slam of the season and become the youngest man to complete the career Grand Slam. 22-year-old Alcaraz will bid to add the Melbourne title to his 2 Wimbledon, 2 French Open and 2 US Open crowns. 20-time Grand Slam champion Federer is back at Melbourne Park 6 years after his last Australian Open appearance for an exhibition match. Remember, Federer retired in 2022. The iconic golden and silver bear trophies have officially emerged from their molds at the Herman Noack Sculpture Foundry. It signals the final countdown to the 76th Berlin International Film Festival. This year's event will be running from February 12th to 22nd and features a diverse lineup. The Wizarding World has found its new sound. 2-time Oscar-winning composer Hans Zimmer has been officially tapped to score the upcoming Harry Potter series for HBO. Zimmer will collaborate with composers Cara Talve and Anze Rosman to create a fresh musical identity for the show while honoring the legacy of John Williams' original themes. The series, which aims to adapt J.K. Rowling's books over a multi-year run, is currently slated for a 2027 premiere. Global superstar Jennie Kim celebrates her 30th birthday today. The Blackpink member has launched a special photography exhibition at the Youthquake Cultural Space in Seoul. It is running till January 29th. The exhibit features intimate, never-before-seen snapshots of her life and career.